Greetings. What's going on, guys? Hey, man, we live today. About to get it popping, man. About to go over some topics today, man, because a lot of you guys have been asking me some questions, and I feel like I'm getting the same questions over and over again. So I said, you know what, man, let me just go live and just break this whole shit down to my family, man, to the Armstrong Army. Guys, if y'all can hear me and see me, just type one in the chat. I just want to make sure my audio and shit's good before we get into this thing. Um, Also, too, man, if you can hear me and see me, type one in the chat. Also, drop where you from, man. Where y'all at in the world? We got Cowboy Thanos. What's popping, man? That's one of the Armstrong Army members, man. Shout out to you, man. What up? What's happening? We got Latarius, Shot Town's finest. What up? What's popping? What's good? What's good? Who else we got in the building, guys? Type one if y'all can hear me and see me, man. We about to get into why you should stop eating healthy, man. Why you need to stop eating healthy to get ripped, right? And what you do need to do in order to get ripped. Before we do, I just got to make sure I'm good on everything. Type one, guys, if you can hear me and see me. That means YouTube, that means Facebook, that means everybody. We about to get into this thing. So yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it with a little bit of a screen share. Guys, if you want to learn some shit, you want to retain this information, you might want to take out your notepad on this one, man, because I'm about to break down some of my best kept secrets as soon as I figure out how you share your screen on this thing. Okay, so here it is right here. So I gotta crack open my notebook while I'm working on this, guys. Drop in the chat, man. Where y'all from, man? Rep your city. Rep your city, man. Drop in the chat where you from. I gotta get my tools ready. Okay, this is the old one. Guys, who we got in the building, man? Say what up. Rep your city in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Y'all people, I got the background music today, man. I got the vibes. You know what I'm saying? If you're feeling the vibes, man, just type vibes in the chat. You know what I'm saying? So that I know that y'all picking up what I'm laying down. All right, so we got Chicago's in the building. Okay, Shot Town, salute. What's good? What's goody? What's goody? All right. Well, shit, maybe the rest of y'all will catch up with y'all locations later. We about to get into this thing. Let me share my screen. We're gonna go entire screen. We're gonna do this. All right. So today's topic, what we breaking down is hold on, I gotta make sure you guys can see my little drawing here. If you guys can see me scribbling in black, type one in the chat if you see me scribbling in black, right? Just want to make sure y'all got that. All right. So today, what we're gonna break down in detail essentially is why you need to stop eating healthy. So guys, type in the chat, what are some healthy foods? Break it down in the chat, man. I just want to see. I want to do a social experiment real. You know what I'm saying? What are healthy foods? Before I get into my breakdown of this shit, what would you guys say is healthy, man? And I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. I want to see what we got in the chat. What are some healthy foods? So we got my man's J Rock says salads, vegetable, fruits, right? Darion says apples. What are some other healthy foods? Right? Drop in the chat. I know you guys know what healthy foods are. Fruit salads, right? Grilled chicken, salads, eggs, broccoli, right? Greens, right. Okay. Take notice of this, guys. What you'll notice, nuts. Pause. Right? Chill out, J-Rock. Chill out, man. 93 lean beef, asparagus, egg whites, grilled chicken, steak, vegetables. You want that doesn't have a many added stuff. Here's what I want you guys to notice about the answer to that question. It's multiple things, right? There's not one definitive answer. All of you guys said some different shit, right? Which means that there is no objective answer to what's healthy, right? Objective means one answer, right? Hey, this is what it is. 2 plus 2 is what? 4. That's the only answer, right? But objectively, subjectively, I should say, healthy can mean any fucking thing, right? So what you want to stop doing is doing shit that's random, right? Saying I'm eating healthy is basically saying I'm just eating random foods, man. I ain't got no real motherfucking strategy. So if you're not at your goal, that is probably the reason why. Like 9 times out of 10, I can guarantee that's the fucking reason. Because you don't have a real clear plan as to what you need to do. We're going to fix that today. Guys, if you're excited to figure out this whole thing so that you don't have to struggle anymore to get the results that you want, you know what I'm saying? Type 2 in the chat, man. Type 2 in the chat. Because here's the thing. Hold up. Let me go back to my screen share. Y'all see me flipping between screens. Because here's the thing. I would say eating healthy is sort of like general direction. So what does that mean? I currently live in Florida, right? Guys, type what state y'all from, man. Rep your city. Type in the chat where y'all from. Right? But I live in Florida and my mom lives in Michigan, right? So let's say I wanted to treat my mom to something for her birthday. Shout out to my mother. Her birthday is coming up in December, man. Shout out to the Sagittarius out here. Let's say I wanted to take her to a Lions game, right? The Lions play at Ford Field, right? Well, what would I have to do to get to Michigan, right? To take her to the Lions game if I wanted to drive there? Well, general advice would be, hey man, just drive north, right? If you drive north, you'll eventually get to Michigan. But here's the thing. If I drive north, will I get to the exact location or will I end up fucking lost? Guys, type in the chat. Will I be at the exact location, right? The exact destination, the exact goal, or will I get to somewhere close and just end up fucking lost because I was driving north? Type in the chat, right? I'm gonna come back to y'all real quick. I want to see what y'all got to say about this. Guys, yeah, I live in Milford, Pennsylvania, man. Shout out to Millie Milford, Daytona Beach. What up? Michael says lost, right? Tom says lost, right? Jason says you'll be as lost as I am, right? It's starting to resonate, right? Frederico, close, right? That's some of y'all watching, right? You've been studying every YouTube video you can get your hand on. You know, you done got some programs. Maybe you hired a coach. Maybe you joined some group fitness classes, right? You motherfucking Instagram and Google Warrior with workouts. You close, but you're not exactly where you want to be. Guys, if you want to learn how to get to exactly where you want to be, type a flex emoji in the chat, right? Type a flex emoji in the chat, right? Because you may have just been driving north this whole fucking time, right? And driving north, you know what I'm saying? Look, you're relatively on the right track. But how many of you want to get to the goal? If you want to get to the goal, you want to get to the exact destination, drop that flex emoji, right? Because we gotta address this, man. Because it's like a lot of misnomers, misinformation, motherfuckers saying shit that got y'all confused, right? Look, it really boils down to the fact that, yes, You are driving north, but you lost, right? Now let's get rid of some of this, right? If that was helpful information, uh, just drop a little thumbs up in the chat while I erase this. Just want to make sure you guys are locked in and understand where your boy is coming from, right? Because random actions get you random results. I want you to tattoo that on your brain, right? Today, I want you to remember, if you take nothing else from this lesson, random actions, right, equals random results. So if you out here with a random ass diet, doing random ass workouts, and wondering why you got a random ass body, here's why. Here's why. Now, we're just gonna focus on nutrition. If we went into like nutrition and training, we'd be here all night, man. This would be a long ass fucking live, right? If you down for me breaking down the nutrition part, type food in the chat. I just want to make sure like y'all down with me breaking this down, right? That's not how you spell nutrition, by the way, but fuck it. Hey man, I graduated college and then I just stopped giving a fuck about spelling. That's right. And I've done pretty well for myself, man. You know, I'm doing all right, right? So you ain't got to learn. You don't really have to know how to spell well. You just, you know, you have to know well enough to get through high school and college, right? So what do you do instead? Guys, what do you think you do if you're not just going to do random eating, right? What should you do? Right? Type in the chat. What do you guys think you should be doing? Right? Let me see. Let me come back to you guys real quick. I got to make sure I'm here with y'all. Michael says, I ride my bike and do calisthenics, but I'm trying to find a plan. So you're tiptoeing on the edge, right? Because look, here's the thing. If you are driving north, right? You're on the right track. But if you get a GPS, that's a what? That's a plan. That's a roadmap that shows you exactly, you know, how to, in the analogy I gave, get to Ford Field, so I can take my mom to the game, right? So here's another thing, a step further, right? Count those calories and macros, right? So here's some things here. So a lot of people will say, you know, follow a meal plan is one thing, right? I think that's kind of what Michael was alluding to. But here's the thing with meal plans, most of y'all probably not gonna follow that shit. Why? Because general ass meal plans that you find on the internet that's comprised of somebody else's favorite foods might not be the foods that you fuck with, right? If you've ever, you know, looked at somebody's day of eating video, or, you know, bought somebody's meal plan, or had a nutritionist or a coach make you a meal plan, and that shit ain't had nothing in there you eat, type 1 in the chat, right? Because what's the likelihood of you actually sticking to the plan if you don't feel like the plan takes into account how you actually live your life, right? Like, let's take the example of what I was saying of me driving to go meet my mom for a field, right? If I was given flight directions instead of road directions, how the fuck am I going to use it? I can't, right? I can't, because my car doesn't fly, right? So how you going to use a meal plan if it's comprised of foods that you don't even eat, right? Now, Jason took it a step further. He said, look, count the calories, count the macros, you know what I'm saying? Do your thing there. And look, there's some truth to that, right? But one thing that I know about calories and macros, because I've been tracking them for a decade now, right? And I teach people this, is, let me go to my share screen. It's like, so, you know, we know a plan you probably won't follow if it's a general plan, right? Because it might not take into account what you actually eat, right? Calories and macros, you could follow it, but if you've been tracking calories and macros and you went over your calories, let's say you under consume a macro, over consume a macro, right? Your numbers was fucked up, right? We just gonna write fucked up here. You fucked up, right? Type 1 in the chat if this has ever happened to you, tracking calories and tracking macros. It is an important step, but I think the reason why it's not the best way to start your journey is it's a skill. It's more of an advanced skill, right? It's like, I can, for example, I don't play music, but I have friends who are musicians. They can look at a sheet of music and they can play a song, right? But I don't play music, so that shit just look like symbols to me, right? So I don't know what a B flat is or a A minor. Like, I don't know the difference. I don't even know if those are real notes. Like, I don't even know if is that a real note or did I just make that shit up? Type in the chat, let me know. But like, the issue is, like, you don't know what foods hit your macros, right? You just don't know what those foods were. Because here's the thing, think about this. If you knew, you would have never got fat, right? If you knew, you would already be ripped and lean, right? So, like, yes, this is a step, but I think it's more something that's a progression that you get to, right? So if it's not just a plan, right? And if it's not calories, macros, right? What is it? Guys, type in the chat. What do y'all think it is? What do you think is the proper solution? Right? Let me see what we got. Here. Bro, I cut calories, jogged 10 miles a day for 35 days straight, gained weight, didn't see any results. I have not worked out ever since, and I'm very depressed thinking about it because I gave it my all. The champ, listen, what you're going through right now is something that most people go through. And I want you to know it's not your fault. It's because you've been misinformed. Somebody told you that cutting calories and jogging 10 miles was the answer. And that never was it. That was never it, right? I used to jog 4 miles a day, every single day for an entire summer. And my body looked exactly the same at the end. I ain't getting no definition, no results, no nothing. Right. And it's because I didn't have what I'm about to teach y'all right now. Right. So if you excited to get this solution so that you can stop struggling, stop being depressed like my man Champ, get up, Champ. Right. That's not what champions do. They don't cry. They get their motherfucking ass up. All right. If you're excited to hear this solution, drop a 1 in the chat. Have you ever heard of this supplement, Turkestone and Tonkat Ali? If you have, does it work? Charlotte, North Carolina. Yeah. Those are good supplements for helping your body naturally start to produce its own free testosterone. Pretty good products. But you have to have other things optimized. Your sleep, your training, your protein, consumption, as well as your healthy fat consumption needs to be relative to your lean body mass and your goals. It's not going to work without that. But those are good products. Jenna says, my girlfriend is low body weight and tall. She wants to gain weight muscle. I'm gonna break that down here today too. Right, I'm gonna help you guys out. I'm trying to lose weight, but can't. Got any tips? About to get into it, Michael. All right. So you guys want the solution. So we're sort of on the edge of it. I'm gonna kind of illustrate to you these two. What you want to do is you actually want to marry these two together, right? You want to marry these two together. I would say what's better is to create what's called a macro-based meal plan for yourself, right? That's the key, right? Hold on, let me let me erase all this shit. So the key is to create a macro meal plan, right? You make a macro meal plan, right? And nobody teaches this, right? Because like it takes a few steps, right? And I'm gonna walk through all the steps with you guys, But like the other thing is people are telling you it's just easier to just cut whole food groups. Like that's what the motherfucking vegans is telling you. You know, that's what the keto and carnivore dorks is telling you, right? That they just say, hey man, just cut this food group out, man. Don't worry about tracking. Don't worry about making it fit. Don't worry about that. But the problem with that shit is, man, it's not sustainable. Like most people that I talk to, right? Again, I've been coaching for 10 years. I got tons and tons of transformations, man. You know what I'm saying? If you guys are new to the channel, I'll just go to my motherfucking transformations real quick. Right? This is some of the motherfuckers that I didn't taught this method. I'm about to teach y'all. You know, you got my man Brennan Hagensee from Chicago, Illinois, Chi-Town. What up? He lost 130 something pounds using these methods. Right? He went from big as hell to ripped. Right? Same thing with my boy Eggy though. Shout out to Eggy. He's from Mozambique. Right? He lost 20 pounds doing the methods that I'm about to, you know, teach you guys here next. And then, you know, same thing with my man Keith Little from Germany. You know, he you know, lost 20 pounds as well, got ripped up, right? He was able to do this while still enjoying date night with his wife every single weekend, right? If you want to get ripped, if you want to see your abs, if you want to see definition, if you want to feel good, look good, be the best version of yourself, right? And do it while still enjoying your favorite foods, type 1 in the chat. Right? Type 1 in the chat. Let me see what we got. See what the chat talking about. See what the chat talking about. Okay, we got young Michael. Okay. Anybody else want to learn how to make this solution, man? So you can just stop taking random actions, getting random results. All right. You guys are woken. All right. Jenna 1. Chant 1. All right. Super simple, man. Let's dive in. So I am gonna need some crowd participation, right? Because the key thing that I want to do is I want to make this real, because it's not gonna work if it's just like all like fucking me talking, right? So I want to get you guys involved. The reason the macro-based meal plan works, by the way, though, is like, because if you make it around foods that you actually eat, guess what? You'll actually follow it, right? So that's thing number 1, right? Thing number 2, it actually teaches you. It teaches you how to eat, right? So that at a certain point, like the tracking macros thing becomes second nature. You know, you do it, or you eat intuitively because you get so good at understanding what foods do what, right? I'm at that level. But like these are the things that you wouldn't have without that. You wouldn't actually follow it. And you wouldn't know. Some of you guys have followed a plan before, but you didn't know why that plan worked. So when you stopped following the plan, you got fucking fat again, right? And the reason why myself, my clients, the shit that I showed you with those guys with the transformer, and even, you know, hundreds and hundreds of guys never get fat again, is because following the macro-based meal plan teaches them how to eat, right? Tracking it teaches them how they should be eating, so they know why their results are successful. So if you guys are excited about that, give me a flex emoji in the chat, because that's what we're about to talk about. All right, we're about to talk about that. Now, I do need somebody's help. I'm going to make somebody's macro-based meal plan live. So type in the chat. I need somebody to put their goal, age, height, and weight, right? And I'm gonna make your macros based meal plan here today. Right, I'm gonna break the whole thing down. Joseph says walk for 20 minutes every meal. Why would you walk while eating? That sounds exhausting, man. You know how taxing digestive process is on your body? You gonna walk and do that at the same time? Nah, I think I get what you're saying. You were like, get up and walk after each meal. Yeah. So yeah, if you want me to make a make your meal plan right here live, like your macro-based meal plan example, just type your age, height, weight, and goal, and then I'll break down exactly how to do it. All right, easy. So my man, okay, so Wes did not So 225, 6'1", 310. How old are you? I need age, height, weight, and goal. All right. I need all the stats: age, height, weight, and goal. And also, too, if you got to go early, I break all this down in my free fat loss system. I'll drop the link in the chat again for y'all. You can go watch videos of me doing this on there as well. But we about to do it here live with y'all. So yeah, give me age, height, weight, and goal. All right, so we got E Diaries, E Diaries. I think, okay, this is a lady. I think this is a female, 5'4", 40, 178 pounds. Perfect. So we about to break this whole thing down. So there's a few things we need. All right. Let me go to let me go to my thing. So if we're looking at making this work, we're gonna use e-diaries. I'm gonna get to your stats here in a second. But essentially, you need the following. So you need calorie goal, which is what we're gonna find for e-diaries. You need your macros to go along with that, right? Then you make preferences, right? Preferences, food preferences, preferences, life preferences, right? I'm gonna tell you guys what that means when we get to it. And then you make the foods match, right? I'm gonna walk y'all through that too. Again, if you don't want to watch me do this, you can go get the free fat loss system, but I'm gonna break it down all down live. Guys, if you're excited, type 1 in the chat, right? Last thing we need is a prep system. And that's what really ties all this together, okay? So what we need, we got e-diaries. All right, so I gotta go back to your stats. So e-diary stats are, probably should write this down because be jumping back and forth from the screen. 40 years of age, 5'4", 178. All right. So I'm assuming, right? Because 178 on a 5'4" woman, it's getting kind of close to 200. It's getting close to being big, right? So I'm assuming you want to lose some fat, right? So, because you ain't write that in the chat for me. So we're just going to use that as our metric, okay? If I'm wrong, this was not disrespect. I promise you. All right, let's open a new tab on Chrome. Type 1 if you guys can see my screen, right? Type 1 if y'all can see my screen. Let's just make sure before I start. Type 1 if y'all can see Chrome. All right. Let's get into it. So first, you got to find what's called e-diaries BMR, right? So what we do is type for BMR calculator, and a bunch of this shit comes up, right? Now, I don't like going through all these different ones, right? Because I'm only looking for one thing. I have always used this top one, not because I think it's the best, but because I like simplicity, man. I'm not about to be scrolling, searching through which one of these is better than the other one, because all you really need is one thing from this, right? Go to the BMR calculator, calculator.net, right? And in here, we're going to put in e-diaries age, so 40 ball, right? Shout out to y'all that might be in Detroit. That's what we call 40 ball, right? Female, switch to that. She's 5'4", right? So we put her height here. And then 178 pounds, right? So now we're going to calculate BMR. Now, you see all these numbers and some of y'all may be confused. Like, man, like, what do I follow? Like, what do I look at, right? Do not, I repeat, do not use these activity level numbers here, right? The problem with those activity level numbers is it makes the assumption that you are a very active person, for one, right? And also, two, it adds additional calories under the mindset that you want slow fat loss, right? So, guys, if you want slow fat loss, right, type slow in the chat. If you like fast results, right, you like to see results every single week, right? You like to feel yourself getting leaner, stronger, more confident every single week. Type fast in the chat, right? I want to see who likes fast results, right? If you like slow results, ignore everything else I'm about to say. Fuck what I'm talking about, right? But if you like fast results, type fast in the chat. I'm gonna break down how you get fast results. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Shay says fast. Champ says fast. Sweet says fast. Wes says fast. Michael says fast. Warren Kilgore says fast. AB says steady. What the fuck does that mean, man? That's not what I asked. I asked slow or fast. You're gonna come in with the check C. This ain't this is one or the other, not multiple choice. I know I'm messing with you, man. Appreciate you coming through, AB. All right, so look, these results right here, if you add in these activity multipliers, which is what most calorie trackers are going to give you by default, they're going to give you the TDEE activity multiplier, and it's going to give you additional calories under the assumption that you move around a lot, right? Which in modern society, let's just call it what it is. Most of us don't move that much, with the exception of going to the gym. How active are you really, right? Like, you sit in a car, right, that transports you from A to B. You hopping on flights, you know what I'm saying, that transports you to A to B. Uber Eats is a thing. They delivering fucking filth to your doorstep. And when you tired after a long day, what do? You sit down on the couch, right? So you're not doing a bunch of activity, because if you were, like, you wouldn't have a ton of trouble losing fat, right? So look, this is what you do. And this is what I teach all my clients. This is why I have such a high success rate. We use BMR, right? And all you simply do is subtract calories from this, right? So what I would do if I was, teaching, the homie, e-diaries, I would just say, take 200 calories from this, and then that'll be your calorie deficit number, right? Because doing that would ensure that she's in a nutritional deficit. Everything she does activity wise would just be icing on the cake, right? Guys, if y'all still with me, if that makes sense, drop a flex emoji in the chat. J Mastermind says, do mine, bro. Hey, hold your horses. We'll get to you, man. We get to you. But yeah, if y'all with it, give me that flex emoji in the chat. Jenna's giving me some stuff for a female. She's 5'11", 23. She's 126 right now. Goal 145. By the way, how do some people stay hella skinny? I'll get to that too, because the thing is, like, so skinny, I don't know if anybody wants to be skinny. Skinny implies, when I hear skinny, I hear frail. I hear no muscle. Right? You out here looking like Sid the Sloth from Ice Age, right? You got a small ass body, but you got a little pot belly, right? Skinny fat. Like, I don't think anybody has that as a goal. But staying at a certain weight and maintaining after you hit your goal, we'll go over that too, right? Because that's a separate class, but I'll definitely touch on it for you, Jenna. The thing though is, it's called a reverse diet. We're gonna come back to it. Okay. Now let's break this down for e-diaries, because we ain't done, right? We ain't done. If it was that easy, right, everybody would be in good shape. Right? If tracking your calories was enough, right, everybody would be in great shape, right? So now that we have this, now what we do is we do a macro ratio calculator. So I just searched for macro ratio calculator. Now, for people who have attempted to, like, get to this step, right, because this is the step after you get your calories, this can be confusing as well. again, you got 10 different calculators on this page. You don't know what a macronutrient ratio is. And then if you do, you don't know which one is best for you. I'm gonna make it super simple for y'all, right? Dr. Bill Sukala has a really simple uh, macro ratio calculator. It's quick, easy, free. So I always go to this one, right? Come here, and then you go down to this section where you have the calorie intake section and then the percentages, right? For somebody who wants to lose fat, I would say the majority of your nutrients should come from protein. Reason being, it's more satisfying. It helps you not only build but maintain muscle while you're in this deficit, and it has a higher thermic effect than the other two macros. So you actually burn more calories eating on a high protein diet, right? If that sounds like something that you interested in, right, that you want for yourself, type 1 in the chat, right? You want to burn more calories. You want to have some muscle, right? When this fat comes off, you want to see definition, right? So I would say most people, you would benefit greatly from 30 to 40% of your calories coming from protein. Most of you guys, I think 40% is a great place to start, especially on that aggressive deficit I just gave. E-diaries, because here's the thing, that deficit is very aggressive. How do you maintain it, right? If you've ever went on a diet before and got cravings before, just put a thumbs up in the chat, right? Put a thumbs up in the chat if you ever got cravings before, right? The reason you got cravings is because you probably under-consume protein and also under-consume fiber and water, which is a separate conversation. But when you eat this much protein, when almost half your nutrients are coming from protein, it's actually hard to overeat, right? Especially in the way that I'm about to teach you guys here next. But we'll get to that, right? We'll get to that. So look, 12. Remember her BMR was 16. It was 1462, I think. So what we're gonna put her on, hold on, here we go, is 1260. That's 200 calories less, right? That's 200 calories less than that 1460, which is her BMR, right? So that'll put her in enough of a deficit where every day she's in a deficit, putting herself in the optimal position to lose fat. And then when it comes to carbs and fats, I would say you can evenly distribute this 30% each, right? Or you can actually like go heavier on one or the other depending on your lifestyle. If you're sedentary, right? If you're a white collar worker, you're somebody who sits at the desk, you answering phones, you in Zoom meetings, you're not running to do nothing ever, right? I think 30% or even 35% is optimal for you. Why? Fats are slow burning energy sources. They sustain energy longer than carbs, right? And they're really good for cognitive function if you are in a deficit, and hormone production as well. So like 30 to 35% if you're sedentary, right? If you a blue collar worker, you maybe you like, I don't know, hopping up and off of trucks and throwing stuff, and you maybe you're doing some construction work, like maybe you can get away with more of the 30% or even 35% carbohydrate and then go the opposite direction here, right? E-diaries, what kind of work do you do? I'm about to make it fit you, because we doing e-diaries today. E-diaries still here, or she left? What's your job? What you do? Tell the people what your occupation is, e-diaries. Let me look at some of these other comments while I wait on that. AB says, just started my health journey on the 8th. I'm 37, 294, 510. Okay. Well, hopefully you can use some of this stuff. Also, too, again, guys, this stuff that I'm breaking down for y'all, it's all in the free fat loss system. If you want it all laid out, so you ain't got to remember this later, go ahead and grab a free copy of that. Yeah, I think e-diaries is gone. Oh, okay. Blue collar. All right. So I don't. she left it really broad, right? So I don't know. She could be, that could mean she's a chef. That could mean she work in a warehouse. That could mean a lot of different things, right? So I'm just gonna say we put her on 35% carb, right? Maybe she's a little bit more active, and then 25. You know what? I take that back. I'm gonna do 30, right? And then I'm gonna do 30% fat, right? Because ladies, when they start getting closer, and this is a writer downer for the ladies in the chat, when you guys start getting closer to like those later years where like perimenopausal is on the horizon, or you're already in it, dietary fats become even more important, because dietary fats regulate your hormones, right? So I did remember that she said she was 40, right? Shout out to you. And essentially, I'm gonna give you a little bit more fats because of that, right? So 30% I think is optimal then for what you do, right? So these are the macros, right? These are the most important numbers. This is why we came to this page, is to get these grams down here. Don't worry about nothing else on this screen. You just came here to get these numbers here. We got 95 grams of carbs, 126 grams of protein, 42 grams of fat, right? So that is essentially the scoreboard, right? That is how you're going to measure your success every day, how well you're able to hit those targets. And so now I would say this is the part where the game gets a little fun, because it's like, for me, this is what I tell my clients all the time. Imagine that like your macros are like 3 bank accounts, right? Where, you know, I want you to spend this money in these accounts, but I don't want you to overspend, right? And so now what we're going to break down for e-diaries, you know what I'm saying, is yeah, she work in the warehouse. See, hey, I thought so, right? Right. But what we're going to break down is like how you spend the money in each of the accounts. You spend the money in the protein account, you spend the money in the carbs account, you spend the money in the fats account, but you do not overspend. Okay, you do not overspend. You just, because overspending is what? That's over consuming. That's overdraft. That's your belly getting big as hell, right? So we about to break down how you just make sure that you don't do that, right? Well, we wrote all that out with the purpose of getting to this point where we can now say, all right, we have the stats, right? Now let's find the foods that fit that. So protein, right? That's first. Notice it's the highest macros, also the most difficult to get. It's 126 grams, right, a day. Then you get the carbs. And I think the carbs was, what was the carbs? I got to go back to the page. The carbs was 95, right? 95 grams of carbs. And then the fats, that was, what was the fats? Fats was 42 grams. All right, 42 grams of fat. Too easy, right? So now what we want to do is we want to make the meals hit these numbers, right? So how do you do that? Well, now we get into the preferences. Now, e-diaries. Right now, how many times do you eat per day? Right? Just give me a number. It don't have to be exact. Just give me, first number that comes to mind. How many meals do you often eat? She said she's a gym rat, at least 3 times a week. Gym rat ain't 3 times a week. Gym rat is like you in there 6 days a week, right? you a gym mouse, you a gym mouse. You working up to being a rat. You gonna be there soon. This motherfucker West Pete said 8 meals a day. God damn, why you eating so much, man? Right? That's wild. 8 meals for what? What you training for the Olympics, bro? J Mastermind is a male, 5'11", 29 years of age. Was at 280 in April, now 250. My goal is to get a better chest, no gut, 180. Okay, we gonna take care of you, man. We're gonna get you squared away. Um, Wes, I'm not gonna use your example of 8. That I think that's fucking ridiculous, man. No human needs to eat 8 times a day, right? No normal human. That shit is wild to me. Okay, so look, I'm gonna give you a more practical range of something that like most of my clients end up eating like 3 to 4 times a day, right? Most people can do just fine with that. We do a little intermittent fasting too, so we eating less hours. So sometimes, like, it's cumbersome. One, having to like get all those meals ready or have to think about food that much in a day, right? It consumes your thoughts. I think it takes away from your productivity too, because you're constantly getting these blood sugar spikes and all this shit, and you end up tired midday and you chasing energy drinks and having to take a nap just to get to your day. So I don't think you got to eat like an excessive amount, right? But like 3 to 4 typically is enough to where the portions to get the protein in makes sense, because that becomes the next most difficult thing. Now that you got here, now you have to get the amount of times you're gonna eat. We're just gonna say, I'm gonna make it easy. We're gonna do 4 times, and then we're gonna select foods that we gonna assume diaries were like. Now diaries, I think left, right? But fuck it, man. Oh no, she here. Okay, so 1 big meal. Okay, so I think that's where you fucking up, right? Because here's the thing: 1 big meal will not hit these macros. I guarantee 1 big meal will not hit these macros, right? So if you're not getting to your goal, it might just be because you're under eating the nutrients that's actually going to help you perform and recover, right? So like that is a problem that some people face. They eat 1 meal like this. For example, my girlfriend, she doesn't eat meals. She snacks all day, right? But she ain't out here looking to, build muscle, lose fat. She looking to stay kind of the same because she's a model and she's little, right? Like, so like she doesn't have goals to change. You guys have goals to change, which means you may have to change the amount of times you consume foods to better match the goals that you have. Because if eating 1 meal a day was enough, girl, you probably already be at the goal, right? In fact, you would be at the motherfucking goal. So I know for a fact you ain't hitting your macros if you're eating 1 meal a day, right? So let's do this. Let's make it like practical. Let's say, all right, we're gonna do meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, and meal 4. Now I get a lot of clients like diaries, so I already know what the solution is to help somebody like her. And we're gonna get to the food list. But guys, before I get to that, guys, if this has been helpful so far, drop a flex emoji in the chat, man. I just want to make sure while I pull up what I'm about to pull up. You know what I'm saying? Drop a flex emoji in the chat if this has been helpful information to my congregation. All right, so what we got? Okay, we got a bunch of flex emoji. All right, cool. And look, if this is okay, Joe Sims. I have a Joe Sims in my program. Joe, if this is that same Joe, this process I'm teaching is exactly how I built your motherfucking meal plan that helped you lose that weight, right? So this is behind the curtain shit of the shit that works, right? Okay. So we got some flex emojis. All right. So now we just find foods that hit those numbers. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Joe. Hey, Joe know the vibes, man. What up, Joe? Yeah, this is exactly how I did it, bro. Like, this is exactly what we did behind the scenes to help you lose the weight. All right. So let's go to the let's just do a makeshift like grocery thing, right? So this is like a little grocery cheat sheet. If you guys want it, I'll drop this in the chat too. Matter of fact, let's copy it. You guys can have this too, just for pulling up. It's just like honestly a summary of like a few videos I've made, so you can go grab that. But like these are some things that you can basically mix and match to hit the numbers. So we got breakfast options, we got snacks options, we got lunch options, we got dinner options, we got a bunch of protein sources, right? You got some fat sources, some carb sources, muscles, muscle pump stuff, supplements, right? All this stuff, right? Just a bunch of random stuff that I would say is like easy to hit your macros, right? So coming back here, e-diaries, what is your favorite dead animal? Right? What would you say is your favorite protein source? Give me your top 3 protein sources. I just got 10 here, right? If you see anything, do you like chicken breast? You like turkey? You like bacon? Sirloin, beef, salmon, shrimp? Do you fuck with white fishes like haddock or cod, tuna, bison? Right? What are your favorites? What are your favorites as it pertains to dead animals? Do you know? Right? Okay, we're just gonna use Jenna because Jenna is responding as fast as. So Jenna says chicken, shrimp, beef, and turkey. Okay, chicken, shrimp, beef, turkey. So now what we do next is we plug those into the meals. Now I'm coming back here because we want to make this fit somebody who's actually going to do it. So we've already sort of understood that the homie E-Diaries, she don't be eating, right? So here's what you don't do. And this is why most like meal plans fucking suck. You do not give somebody who barely eats, like eats one meal a day, you don't give them 4 solid meals to eat because they're going to feel like stuffed and they're going to feel like it's too much. She probably has what we call a baby appetite, right? Don't ever get hungry. People with a baby appetite got a slow metabolism. And that's why fat stays on them because their metabolism isn't being fueled with the right stuff. So how do we fix that? We make 2 of these meals protein shake meals. That's a low barrier entry for somebody who doesn't eat much. You might not want to eat, but you might, you'll be able to drink a protein shake twice a day, right? You can handle that. That's not difficult, right? Just replace whatever water you might be drinking now with just protein shakes twice a day, right? So maybe meal 1 will be a shake, and then meal 3 would be a shake. These meals here, 2 and 4, those would be like the meals where we'll just use Jenna's thing, chicken. Maybe it's like chicken and shrimp, right? Chicken and shrimp, right? And then this meal down here, what else Jenna say she wanted? I think she said she wanted some turkey, right? She wants some motherfucking turkey, right? Notice, guys, what's the first thing I'm focusing on building my meals around? I'm focusing on building them around protein. Why am I doing that? Because protein, again, is the most difficult macro to get. It's the highest number on this list. And our meals are going to be centered around this now, right? So like, you just have to understand, if you're going to be lean, if you're going to be aesthetic, if you have a small waist, if you're going to have some abs, if you're going to have definition, if you're going to be that motherfucker that walk in the room with your fitted shirts on, your fitted suits, your fitted polos, and people like turn their heads because they're like, damn, man, that motherfucker works out. They look good, right? If you're going to be that person, you have to now just submit to the idea you're going to be eating high protein for the rest of your life, right? Because protein sort of is like, it's sort of like the oil that makes the engine run well. It makes sure that that you keep your muscles performing well and obviously retain them, right? That made sense. Type of 1 in the chat, right? So the meals now will be comprised around high protein, and then we build around that. So now what we have to do is we just have to find a portion of each of these that makes it easy to hit this. One of my pro tips is the divide the day method. So divide your goal by how many times you plan to eat that day. So divide the day. 4 times in the day. Let me get my calculator out. Well, shit, I can just, I don't have to do that. I can have Google do it. So we do 126 6 divided by 4. All right, it's 31.5, right? So 31.5 is essentially how many grams of protein these need to equal up to equally, right, per meal. And now it's like super simple, because like if you get a protein shake that has like, I don't know, 25 grams of protein, right? A scoop, or even 20. If you do a scoop and a half, that's your 31.5, right? You'll be slightly over that, but it's better to be over than under. If you got a 25 gram, protein shake, it's better to be over than under on protein every time, right? So you can simply do that with your shakes. Scoop and a half, 1.5 scoop. And then same thing here, 1.5. I'm running out of space here. But y'all get the point, right? And then now that you got that, you find out how many ounces of these dead animals actually equal up to 31 grams, right? Again, we don't have to, we don't got to figure it out, right? We got technology now. I'll just go to ChatGPT. I'll just say, hey, I want to have a meal with chicken and shrimp. How many OZ do I need to get, we'll just say 31 grams of protein, right? And boom, in seconds, you found out that if you combine these two together and you do, 3 ounces of chicken and 2 ounces of shrimp, you got 30 grams of protein, right? That's it. So now, like, maybe I can make like a chicken shrimp stir fry, you know what I mean? And then like, it becomes more of a creative thing, because once I get here and I figure out, all right, man, so I need 3 ounces plus 2 ounces, right? I still got all these carbs and fats left. So I can backfill it with rice, with beans, with, whatever else that like I like that's back here on this list, right? Remember, we got this list of fat sources, right? Maybe I want some eggs, some avocados to go with this, right? Maybe I want some beans, some rice, some pasta, some bread. I fuck with berries, right? But maybe you like a different fruit, right? You put that on the side and just put it together, mix and match until you get to the amount of grams of carbs and fats that actually makes sense for that day. And you can do that. You can do that across the board, right? These are just random foods that Jenna put in the chat. You don't have to use chicken and shrimp. It could be steak and shrimp. It could be lobster and crab. It could be whatever. right? You're not limited to, you're really not limited in what you can do to hit your macros by anything other than your creativity. You know, guys, if that made sense, type one in the chat. Type one in the chat if that made sense. You know what I'm saying? Because how do I calculate how much calories I need to eat? Because Carb Manager got me at 2166. Unique. I don't know who the fuck told you to use 2166, use Carb. That shit is way too high for any woman on this live. I can guarantee any woman eating that, you're gonna be big as hell. That's too many calories. That's way too many. If you go back to the beginning of this this live, once it's done recording, I break it down in detail. But you basically got to find your BMR. If you're looking to be in a deficit, you subtract calories from your BMR. If you're looking to be in a surplus, right, you're looking to build muscle, you add calories to your BMR. It's the opposite. If you need help with that, I got a free resource for y'all too. But yeah, yo, Carb Manager got you fucked up. They're gonna have you out here with a big ass belly. All right. So that's pretty much it when it comes to like building out based off the preferences, right? Because I could go through every single macro here tonight, but we'll be here all night going through all the fats, all the all the carbs, all the proteins. But that's the way you do that. So now you got that done. Now, what do you got to do next? Who knows what you got to do next? Now that you know what foods to get, right in the chat. What do you got to do next? All right, you just gotta eat it, right? That's all you gotta do. Once you make the foods match, what you gotta do next? Drink a little water. No problem. Yo, I do this. Exactly. You got to meal prep. And if you want me to teach you a secret time hack, right, to save time on this, type time in the chat, right? If you want me to, I'm gonna teach you guys a baller pro tip, right? How I'm able to always hit my meal prep and macros every single week while running a 6-figure business for the past 5 years. Okay. If you want me to teach you that, right time. All right. So let's dive in. So I'm gonna go back to my friend OneNote. All right. So now that we got that, and we know, and we basically go to that next step, we figure out what we're gonna eat. Now you have to prep. But here's the thing, man. I don't think people realize it's 2025. Just because meals need to be prepped don't mean that you need to be the one doing it. Right? So you got really two options, man. When it comes to prep, you do need a system. You cannot just get around to this shit, because if you're gonna tell yourself you're just gonna get around to it, you always gonna put it off. You're always gonna end up doing something else, and you're gonna end up looking the same every motherfucking year. Okay? What you need to do is you either need to schedule time to do it. I'm gonna show you how to do that. All right, don't worry. I'm gonna walk y'all through that. Or you need to pay somebody to do it. Right? This is what I do. I have not cooked in 5 years. Right? So I just get meal prep companies to do it for me. Right? So we'll walk through each. They both had their pros and cons, right? I'm gonna tell you like this, man. If you're saying that you're too busy, right, to prep, you either need to do this or stop bitching, right? Because making complaints not only will keep you big as hell, it'll keep you stuck, and it'll keep you basically pointing the finger at everybody else to absolve yourself of responsibility. There's people right now on this planet that have a busier schedule than you, right? They got more responsibility than you, that's older than you, right? They got more limitations than you, but they're still making it happen. They're still in better shape than you. Why? Because they stop bitching, right? So cut it out, man. You know, don't nobody give a fuck about, your complaints, right? The results don't give a fuck about that. So why should you? If you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them. So we're not doing that today. So stop all that. I ain't got time, because we're about to fix that, right? If you're excited about learning how to fix that, just type 1 in the chat, right? Just type 1 in the chat as I get the calendar ready. Because I run my life out of something called Google Calendar. I'm gonna show you guys kind of a makeshift of just some ways that you can make this schedule shit happen, right? So, all right, cool. We got some ones in here. We got ones. We got time. We got ones. All right, beautiful. All right, so let me share my screen real quick. All right, so if you have never heard of this before, I'm about to put you on some game. So one thing that you can do to really just get more productive, get more out of your day, and stop arguing for your limitations and start making things happen is start scheduling your life, right? And it's only really 4 things that everyone has to do. They gotta, eat. Well, I should say you have to sleep, you have to work, you have to spend time with your family, and you gotta go to the motherfucking gym, man. Right? You gotta get your ass in that motherfucking gym. So look, I just pulled up in Google. So if you guys were watching the screen, I basically just went to Google, right? With my email, I went to the section where you open up the different icons, and then I hit the calendar button, and then this is it. Now, this is not my real calendar. This is a calendar for my second email that I don't use, but I want to give y'all a blank calendar to show you. You got to schedule. You just got to schedule life, right? And all you got to really do is add in your big 4, and then around that you add in your prep, right? So then, like, let's say I want to wake up in the morning. Guys, type in the chat, what time should you wake up in the morning if you want to get the most out of your day? Right? You want to get the most out of your day. You want to crush it at the gym. You want to crush it at your job or at your business, right? You just want to crush it with your goals. What time should you be getting up? Right? Let me see what y'all typing in that chat. What time is a good wake up time? I used to wake up at 4 a.m. every day, but I wanted extreme success, which I, inevitably got. You don't got to do what I do, right? So that's why I wanted to ask y'all. All right. Art of War says 6 a.m. All right. So let's just use that. And so what you do is you create. This is the most important step, guys, because I always see people fuck this up. You create a bedtime for yourself that is 8 hours before your wake up time, right? So I'm going to say that one more time. You create a bedtime for yourself that is 8 hours before your wake up time. So that means, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means you have to go to bed if you want to be up at 6 and you want to, build muscle, lose fat, optimize your health, right? You have to be in bed, right? Take your ass to bed, right? At 10 p.m. so that you can be up by 6 a.m. Right? That's 8 hours from then. That sets it up to where you're gonna, inevitably get all your rest and then optimize your day. Then what you do next is you set this on repeat for every single day. Right? So then you do that, and then boom, Take your ass to bed is going to go off at 10 p.m. as a calendar event. I can make it a alarm. I can do a bunch of stuff with it, but now it's in there, right? So then the next thing I got to do is I got to go to work, right? We just gonna say, get the money, right? Right. Everybody if you like getting money, man, throw some dollar signs in the chat, right? Right. And for most people, right, that's what, 9 to 5. Some of y'all got different ones, but we ain't about to get into all the different scenarios today. We'll be on here all night. 9 to 5. Right. So you got an 8-hour work day, right? And then you do that, let's just say every weekday, Monday through Friday, right? Guys, if this is helpful so far, man, just drop me a flex emoji in the chat. All right. So you got to get the money, right? Next, we're going to throw in time for our loved ones, right? Family time. How much time y'all be spending with y'all family, man? Give me some suggestions in the chat. All right. How much time y'all be spending with y'all family? Is it like 2 hours a day? Right? 3 hours a day, right? Somebody with a family, tell me how much time y'all be spending with y'all loved ones. Because look, like I don't really have a big family like that. So I sacrifice this, because I'm an only child. I ain't got no kids. I ain't married. So I sacrifice this a lot during my journey. But how much time y'all be doing? What, 2 hours, 3 hours? Type in the chat. Let me know. All right. So my man's Letarius he's saying 3 hours. All right, that's fine. So 3 hours. So 3 hours a day, let's just say, is the end of the day. So it's 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Right? That's family time. So can't nobody touch that, right? And you do that every day. Now, some of y'all don't need to see your family 3 hours a day, right? But we're just gonna say an extreme case. Maybe you need to like spend a few hours with the family. Maybe you got young kids or something. I don't know, right? But now you got these things in here. We just got to pick a gym time. I would advise, this early morning slot is pretty open, right? So I think just putting this here at 7 a.m. it seems perfect, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to box out 90 minutes for it, because it might be some drive time too, right? But you only probably need like 45 minutes to an hour to really get in good shape, right? So let's go ahead and go, right? Because we got 6:30, and then we're going to do 8 a.m. And then we're going to do this every day, right? Well, again, some of y'all ain't got to be like me, right? You can just do weekdays, right? Some of y'all can just get away with this, right? So boom, we got that. Now, some of y'all motherfuckers will try to fit cooking in these little blocks, right? And I think that's where you fucking up, right? Right? Because really, if you're going to run this schedule here, what I would advise is you pick a prep day, a good bulk meal prep. Probably is going to take a good maybe 90 minutes to 2 hours, right? So we're just going to put this on like a Sunday. All right, so we'll do one on we'll do the upcoming Sunday for the next week so y'all can see it. It'll be, let's just say it's at like 4 to 6, right? Boom. So it's there. This is the upcoming week. And then what you want to do is you want to duplicate it and you want to put maybe like a midweek prep. So like maybe cook like 3 days worth of meals. So cook your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then on maybe like Wednesday night or Thursday, you do it again for the next few days out. So that you do the Wednesday night, maybe you cook again for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I'm gonna do Wednesday. I'm gonna duplicate it, put it there. As you can see, what I have to do is I have to move it because I'm gonna be at work at this time, right? So what I do is I basically just say, hey, I'm gonna move this up here. And I'm gonna tell my family, hey guys, I gotta cook this shit, man. So I can't hang out with y'all till 7. Right? You know what I'm saying? I gotta get this shit done for the next few days so I don't be big as hell. Right. And then now you basically got a roadmap, like you got a game plan. You even got some batches of time to do some other shit, like work on some other goals. Maybe you trading stocks, maybe you pick up a course to learn a new skill. Maybe you pick up a recreation, something to take your mind off work or to continue to, build just kind of your well-roundedness, right? But you got so much sort of freedom to be able to do these things now because you have a actual strategy of how you're gonna approach your week instead of saying, oh man, I'm too busy. Right? Guys, if this was helpful so far, type a 1 in the chat, right? Because I'm gonna show you guys the other strategy too. But before I do, I want to just make sure that this is helpful. All right. Okay. Cool. 30K steps every day, 4 hours. Genius Gabe is that's some wild shit. That's some wild shit you talking about. All right, let's get into it. For some of y'all, this might be the most helpful step. Let's say you're not gonna make that time to prep. Your schedule don't look like that. Well, you just do this. Look up. Hold on, let me go to Google. Meal prep services near me. Right? So whatever city you in, you can do that right there, and you'll get a litany of different meal prep services. Right? So all of these different ones are like in my neighborhood, where I live in Fort Lauderdale. You got Power Life, you got Fit Life Foods, you got Ideal Nutrition, Healthy Rush, right? But you don't got to go local. You can do national meal prep. Like currently, I get my meals from a company called Factor, right? They're a really good company. I've heard people like Jet Fuel. I used to do another company that's closed now, right? Cook Unity. I've heard of them. Nutrition Solutions. I've heard of them. So you can kind of do some digging around, but basically make life simple. You're looking to find meals. Again, remember Shorty, e-diaries. Remember what we need to get. We got our little layout for 126 grams of protein. And then we got 95 carb. And then we got, I think it was like 45 fat. I could be wrong, but fuck it. We'll get back to that later. Right. What we're looking for, again, 31 grams of protein per meal, at least 2 solid meals, and then we'll do the other ones in shakes. So all I got to do is I got to go on this website. I got to find 2 meals with foods that I actually would want to eat that have 31 grams of protein. And I just get 2 of them, right? So like, for example, I used to get food from Ideal Nutrition. Let me just open this up. So you go here. Cool thing about some of these companies, they got storefronts where you can go get like a sample. So you can go like you go to their cooler and then, you kind of test the food out, test drive it. Because I know some of you guys' concern is the food good or is it nasty, right? Like I already know, I can already hear some of y'all saying that shit, right? So you can go to their storefront and buy a few. But if you just want to kind of dive in, right? A lot of them had their menu listed, and really the best companies will have their macros listed, right? So like this company, they do that, right? So we got the garlic chicken, for example, right? It's $9, right? That's something you was gonna spend on some food today anyway, right? So a $9 meal gets you your 30 grams of protein, 24 grams of carbs, 58 grams of fat. Now I would be apprehensive to get something like the cilantro garlic, personally, because again, we got to go back to our stats. Shorty only got 95 grams of carbs. 58 is over half, right? So like I'm looking to get something that ideally we can break this into fours too if we can, right? We don't have to, but that's how you get that even distribution of energy through the day. So 95 divided by 4, I got my calculator over here, it's 23 grams. So I'm gonna look for some meals that got like 23 grams of carbs, 30-ish grams of fat, 30-ish grams of protein, and just get 2 of them, right? So shit, these are carby ones. Let's go away from the traditional section. That jerk chicken, I've had that before, it's fire. So we'll go a little lighter. Let's go down. Guys, what would you want to eat on this menu? Type your pick, man. What you see that you like so far? All right, here we go. So I could do, honestly, I could do these two here. I could do the paleo carne asada skirt. I got enough fats to fit this in. It's 30 grams, 29 grams of protein right under my protein for my per meal, but close enough for me. 22 grams of carbs, right in that like per meal range. This one's a little bit higher protein, so it makes up for the protein that's lacks. The fats might blow me out of the water though, so I might want to change this. Hold on. I could do these two together, right? I could do the paleo grilled chicken and then the paleo beef bowl. Both give me the protein requirements I need. They keep me in my fats range, and the carbs are pretty light too. So I got some carbs to mess around with. So now I can get these two, and then what that would leave me with is I would have room to, like with my shakes, I could do like a fruit, right, or something like that with it to make up the carbs that I'm not gonna eat, because those meals carbs are so light that it gives me room for a little more food. So you see how that works, guys? Type 1 if that made sense, right? So then all I do is I spend, what's this? $8 for this meal, or $9. I'll just round up $9 for this meal. Now, that's $18 a day that gets me my lunch and my dinner. And then, multiply 18 by, maybe I do this 5 days a week, and maybe I cook on the weekends if I got a little more time. So let's just say 5 times 18. Got my calculator. It's like $90 a week. That's nothing. Some of y'all spending that on bullshit right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's, just easy solutions like this, man. It just creates a system. It just puts you in position where, like, you ready. You ain't got to get ready because you stay ready, so you ain't never got to get ready. So I would say that's pretty much it, guys. What was most helpful today? What was your main takeaways from this breakdown, man? Because if y'all like this, I'll do some more. I'll do some more breakdowns like this for y'all live. What was your biggest takeaways from today? Oh, and I don't want to forget too. If you guys want more help with this, go ahead and grab my free fat loss system. Breaks down everything that I just went over in detail, so you ain't gotta think about it. Okay. All right. Lataria says I like this. Okay. All right, cool. Well, guys, I think that's pretty much it, man. Oh, Lateria said he's got the protein was helpful. All right, cool. Well, hey, go use it. Go use that this week. Lose some weight, and make some progress, and then check back in. Let me know how it went. If you want me to go live again this week, y'all, type live in the chat, and me and the team will make it happen. E-Diary says, break down the protein carbs fast. Yeah, it's light work, man. This is what I do every day. All right, y'all. Till next time. Peace.